Today we're taking a look at adapting lenses to the original Blackmagic Pocket 6K camera. Hey everyone, Sean here with Fotodiox.com, and I was super excited to hear the news that Blackmagic is releasing a new Pocket 6K camera. And blessedly, they are getting away from the Canon EF mount. It's a super limiting mount, and they're going to the mirrorless L mount. And that's great news for filmmakers who want to adapt a lot of different lenses to their pocket camera, because the L mount has a very short focal flange distance, which means you can adapt pretty much any lens you want to it. Now, all that being said, not everyone can afford the new Pocket 6K camera, and if you have the original Pocket 6K camera or the Pocket 6K Camera Pro, you're going to be limited to the Canon EF mount. And if you have a lot of Canon EF lenses, this is a great setup. You just put your Canon EF lenses on the front and you are ready to shoot. But if you want to adapt lenses, it gets a little tricky. There are a lot of lenses out there that won't adapt to this mount because they just don't have enough focal flange distance to get the image circle of the lens to the sensor. But that doesn't mean you can't adapt any lenses to the Pocket 6K, and here at Fotodiox we carry a series of Canon EF adapters that allow you to do just that. Let's start off with this great little adapter. This is our Fotodiox M42 to Canon EF adapter. This allows you to adapt vintage M42 lenses to your 6K. In this case, this is a tiny little Industar. This is a little USSR Russian M42 lens, super compact, and it's got a little thread on the front. You just thread the M42 lens to the adapter, mount the lens to the camera. And here we go, we've got this great little setup, little tiny vintage Russian lens mounted to our Pocket 6K video production camera. This is a fun little setup. You get really interesting vintage looks with the Industar lens, and you can adapt it directly to your 6K. Next up, we're gonna take a look at my favorite series of lenses. These are the vintage Canon FD Prime lenses. This is my 28mm f2.8 lens. I love these lenses. They're compact, lightweight, and they create beautiful images. Unfortunately, there is a downside when you're adapting them to the Pocket 6K. This lens actually has a slightly shorter focal flange distance than the Canon EF mount. So even if I press it directly to the EF mount of this Pocket 6K, I'm not going to be able to focus to infinity. That's why here at Fotodiox, we make this adapter. This is our FD to EF adapter, and it has a little glass optic in it. And this allows the image circle projection of this FD lens to be a little bit longer to fit on the sensor of a Canon EF mount camera. Now, there is one downside to this setup. When you use the optic in this adapter, it adds an extra piece of glass to the mix. And this actually softens the FD lens. So if you shoot wide open at, say, f2.8 on this lens, you're gonna get a really soft image. It's gonna almost look like you've got Vaseline on the front of the lens. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend this pairing if you want a really high quality look. But if you're looking for something a little more artsy, a little more soft, this adapter does fine. But if you are planning on using FD primes on a original Pocket 6K, I would actually recommend modding your FD lens to an EF mount. You can either do this with kits you can buy online, or you can send it off to get modded. Now, fortunately, from here on out, all of our adapters are opticless, which means you're gonna get the full quality of the adapted lens on your Pocket 6K. And let's start with Pentax K. Pentax K lenses are superb. There's some amazing Pentax K lenses out there. They're fun to collect, and actually not all of them are that pricey. You can get a really high quality Pentax K Prime or Zoom lens for a decent price. And to adapt it to the Pocket 6K, you're just gonna wanna get our PK to Canon EF adapter, line up the dots, mount the Pentax K lens to the adapter, and then mount it to your Pocket 6K. And this doesn't have an optic like the FD adapter. The flange distance is long enough, so you get beautiful, beautiful results with these lenses. Next up, we're getting into one of the most famous series of lenses out there. This is the Nikon F and Nikon G line of lenses. Nikon made these lenses for decades. Now they're making Z mount lenses, but they do still make this lens mount, so you can buy modern lenses with this mount as well. And we adapt it to Canon EF mount cameras with our Nikon to Canon EF adapter. We have a couple different versions of this adapter. I like this version because it has a little manual aperture control in there, and that's great for using more modern Nikon lenses that don't give you manual aperture control. Just line up the mounting dots on the lens, turn it to lock it to the adapter, and then put the adapter on the camera. There we go, we've got Nikon glass on our Pocket 6K. The next lens we're gonna look at is kind of obscure. This is the Exacta mount. These are older lenses. They actually are pretty cheap and you can find them pretty easily. I found this at a thrift store. I think I paid like 15 bucks for it. Exacta is fun to adapt to your EF mount camera because it's very old, it's very vintage. These lenses are not multi-coated, so you get some interesting color flare. You don't get as much contrast as you do with a more modern lens. So if you're looking for a vintage look, this is a great system to use. You know the drill. Put the adapter on the lens, put the adapter and lens on the camera, and that's quite a unique look. That's a very old lens on a very modern camera, but that's one of the joys of using adapters. It's getting all sorts of interesting, unique, weird lenses, adapting them to your digital camera, getting some really interesting results. Next up, we've got our T-mount adapter. T-mount is an interesting mount. It's used in telescopes. It was also used in some vintage lenses back in the day. It's a thread mount similar to M42. It's wider. And I love some of the T-mount lenses I've been able to collect over the years. This is one of my favorites. This is a Solagor 135mm f2.8 lens. It has a ridiculous amount of aperture blades, so you get really beautiful bokeh with this lens. And it's super easy to adapt to an EF camera. Just thread the T-mount lens onto the adapter, mount it to your Pocket 6K. And if you've noticed, we're getting progressively larger lenses adapted to this camera. This is a beautiful lens. Love this lens. You get some really beautiful results with it. Another vintage mount you can put on the Pocket 6K is the Olympus OM mount. This is an OM system Zuiko auto zoom, 75mm to 150mm. This is a beautiful little vintage lens, beautifully designed. Get some really great images with it. Another kind of vintage lens you can adapt to the Pocket 6K is Contax Yashica lenses. This is our CY to EF adapter, and it's another super thin adapter. Mount it onto the lens, super simple. Line it up, mount it onto your Pocket 6K. And this lens in particular is a Contax Yashica 80 to 200mm. It's a Tokina brand. If you need a zoom lens, but you don't want to invest in a really high-end Canon EF zoom, this is a great way to get zooms on your Pocket 6K. Just buy a vintage zoom, adapt it to your Pocket 6K. And I love the zoom on this one particularly. You don't have to rotate it, you just slide it to zoom. Really nice. There are a lot of older zoom lenses that have this feature. Really nice way to get a smooth zoom in video. This next adapter I don't have a lens for right now, but I just wanted to show it to you. This is our PL to Canon EF adapter. So if you have a PL cine lens that you want to mount on your Pocket 6K, super easy to mount, and it allows you to use PL lenses on your 6K camera. Now there are a couple limitations to this adapter because of the nature of the EF mount. Not all PL lenses will fit into it. The rear ends of some PL lenses are really long and big, so you do have to take some measurements into account. And we've got all the measurement info that you need to know for this adapter on its listing on our website. The last adapter I want to show you today is a little bit more unique. This is our Hasselblad V to Canon EF tilt rocker. This is a tilt shift adapter, so it turns an adapted medium format lens into a tilt shift lens on your Canon EF mount camera. Let's mount the Hasselblad V lens onto the adapter, and then we're gonna mount the adapter onto the Pocket 6K. And as you can see, you can tilt the lens. You can also rotate where the tilt goes. That means I can tilt the lens to the left or right, up or down, and I can put the sliver of focus wherever I want it in my video. Now you might ask, why do I need tilt shift for video? And you probably don't need shift, but there are some times where tilt is kind of nice. Being able to tilt the adapted lens so you adjust the focal plane so you can kind of throw a lot of things out of focus, kind of create a dreamy look is actually pretty nice. Now you might ask, oh, that's so awesome. Can I get that for these other lenses? Unfortunately not. This will only work for medium format lenses when adapting to the EF mount. And that's just because of focal flange issues. We need that extra space for the tilt shift mechanism, so we can only adapt medium format lenses. Okay, that was a super fast, super brief summary of just some of the lenses you can adapt to the original Blackmagic Pocket 6K camera. If you have any questions about any of these adapters I featured in today's video, comment below. I'd love to help you out. And really, do comment below. I know there's a lot of questions when you start adapting lenses to cameras, and we love to help people with that because we are the master of adapters. We sell thousands of adapters at Fotodiox, and we can definitely help you out. Also, if you have any thoughts about the new Pocket 6K camera with the L mount, comment below as well. I'd love to talk to you about it. Plus, click right here to subscribe to our YouTube channel to get more videos just like this one. I'm Sean with Fotodiox.com, and thanks for watching.